What if the real problem in your relationship is you? It's a hard truth to face. But the Stoics believe that self-awareness is the first step to real strength. This video isn't about blame. It's about growth. Here are 8 signs you might be the one holding the relationship back, and how Stoic wisdom can help you turn it around. Let's dive in. Sign 1. You always need to win. Let me ask you something. When you get into a disagreement with your partner, what's your goal? Is it to understand them, or to prove that you're right? If you're always trying to be right in every argument, you're turning your relationship into a battlefield. And here's the problem with that: when one person wins, both people lose. Relationships aren't about keeping score. They're not about who makes the best argument or who talks the loudest. They're about connection, teamwork, mutual understanding. But if you always feel the need to win, then what you're really doing is trying to control the conversation, not learn from it. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." Think about that for a second. When you're convinced that you're right and they're wrong, you stop listening. You stop learning. You stop growing. You might be nodding your head while they're talking, but in your mind, you're already planning your next comeback. You're not having a conversation, you're preparing a counterattack. So here's something to reflect on. Do you interrupt them mid-sentence just to correct them? Do you twist their words so you can prove your point? Do you feel uncomfortable or irritated when they don't agree with you? If any of that sounds familiar, it might be time to shift your mindset. Here's a practical Stoic exercise. The next time you're in a disagreement, pause for a moment and ask yourself, am I arguing to understand, or am I arguing just to win? Then take what the Stoics call the Stoic pause. Breathe. Don't rush to speak. Listen carefully. Let go of your ego. And respond from a place of calm reason, not emotional pride. Because real strength in a relationship isn't about proving you're right. It's about choosing what's right for the relationship. Sign 2. You avoid accountability. Have you ever caught yourself saying things like, "That's just the way I am," or "You're overreacting"? Maybe even, "It wasn't that deep." These kinds of responses might sound harmless, but they're actually ways we avoid taking responsibility. Instead of owning our mistakes, we shift the blame. We make it about the other person being too emotional or too sensitive, instead of asking ourselves if we crossed a line. In Stoic philosophy, accountability is a sign of real strength. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic thinker, once said, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I will gladly change." That's what emotional maturity looks like. The ability to say, "Yes, I was wrong, and I will do better." So here's something to think about. When was the last time you gave a real apology? Not just a quick "sorry" to end an argument, but one where you truly admitted what you did, acknowledged how it made the other person feel, and made a clear decision to grow from it. Here's a practical Stoic habit. At the end of each day, take a quiet moment and reflect. Ask yourself, where did I fall short today? Did I hurt someone, intentionally or unintentionally? What can I do tomorrow to make it right? This is what the Stoics called evening reflection. A simple but powerful practice that helps you catch your blind spots before they become patterns. Because the goal isn't to be perfect. It's to be aware. And to have the courage to change when it counts. Sign 3. You struggle to control your emotions. Let's be honest. We all feel things deeply. Anger, frustration, sadness, fear. That's part of being human. But here's where things go wrong. If every time you're upset, you explode, If you shut down for days instead of talking. If your mood swings so hard they feel like emotional whiplash to your partner. Then that's not just emotion. That's a lack of control. And that lack of control? It doesn't just hurt you, it hurts the person you claim to love. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." In other words, if you can't face your emotional triggers, how can you grow from them? Your partner is not your emotional punching bag. They're not your therapist. And they're not responsible for cleaning up the mess after your storm. Ask yourself this. When I get anxious or stressed, do I lash out? Do I say hurtful things just to feel in control? Do I sulk, punish them with silence, or threaten to leave just to get my way? These aren't signs of strength. They're signs that you've given your emotions the driver's seat. But here's what the Stoics teach us. You don't have to react to every feeling that rises up in you. You can pause. You can breathe. You can choose your response. There's a concept in Stoicism called the dichotomy of control. It means there are two kinds of things in life. Things you can control, and things you can't. You can't control how your partner speaks. You can't control how they react. But you can control how you respond. You can choose not to raise your voice. You can choose not to shut down. So the next time you feel triggered, pause. Don't speak right away. Breathe. Let the wave of emotion pass. Then respond, not with anger, but with calm. Not to win, but to connect. Because mastering your emotions isn't about suppressing them. It's about refusing to let them control who you become. And in a relationship, that kind of emotional strength changes everything. Sign 4. You rely too much on reassurance. Let's be honest. Do you constantly need your partner to remind you that they love you? Do you feel anxious if they don't text back quickly, or if they seem distant for just a moment? Do you find yourself fishing for compliments or questioning whether they still care? This might feel like love on the surface. But it's actually insecurity wearing a mask. When you depend on someone else to make you feel worthy, you're handing them the power to control your emotions. And that's dangerous, for both of you. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life, it is all within yourself." That's the key. Your sense of peace, your self-worth, your confidence. They must come from within. Not from someone else's mood, attention, or words. Here's a question to ask yourself. Do I feel okay when I'm alone? Or do I constantly need someone to make me feel valued? Do I get jealous easily, or feel threatened by others getting my partner's attention? If so, you may be putting a weight on your relationship that it was never meant to carry. Practical Stoic tip. Start building your own inner validation. Each morning, take just a few minutes to write down 3 things you're proud of. Things that reflect your own growth, discipline, or character. It could be something as small as sticking to a habit, showing kindness, or handling stress calmly. This practice trains your mind to see value in who you are. Not just in how others respond to you. When you learn to validate yourself, you stop draining your partner emotionally. And your love becomes stronger, calmer, and more genuine. Because a Stoic knows, when your peace comes from within, no one can take it away. Sign 5. You keep score. Let's say your partner forgets to call you back one day, and 3 weeks later, you bring it up in the middle of an argument about something completely different. Or maybe you bought them a gift last month, and now you feel frustrated that they haven't done anything nice enough in return. Sound familiar? This is what it looks like when you're keeping score in a relationship. It's when you track every mistake they make. Every time they fall short. Or every good deed you do, just to remind them later. You might not say it out loud, but in your mind, it sounds like, "I've done more. I sacrificed more. I deserve better because of everything I've put in." But here's the hard truth. When you treat love like a business transaction, something that needs to be balanced and paid back, you kill the emotional safety that real relationships are built on. This isn't love. It's emotional bookkeeping. Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do, and you will go on well." In other words, stop expecting the world, or your partner, to follow your invisible rulebook. Instead, focus on how you show up, how you love, and whether you're giving with a pure heart or expecting something in return. Take a moment and ask yourself, do I love freely, or do I only give when I know I'll get something back? Do I bring up the past to win arguments? Do I feel bitter when they don't match my efforts? Here's a Stoic practice to try. Start giving without expecting anything back. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it may feel unfair at first. But that's what Stoic love is about. Doing the right thing, not the easy thing. Let your love be a reflection of your values, not a bargaining chip. Give because it's who you are, not because you're keeping a scorecard. Sign 6. You dismiss their feelings. Let's talk about something many people do without even realizing it. Dismissing their partner's emotions. Think about this. When your partner tells you they're hurt by something you said or did, do you listen with an open mind? Or do you respond with, "You're overreacting. You're being too sensitive." Or, "That's not what I meant, so you shouldn't feel that way." When you react like that, you're not comforting them. You're shutting them down. You're basically saying, "Your feelings aren't valid unless I agree with them." And that is emotional neglect. Not physical. Not obvious. But deeply damaging. You may not intend to hurt them, but the impact is still real. And over time, it creates distance, resentment, and silence. Marcus Aurelius once gave us a powerful reminder. Whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question: what fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I am about to criticize? In other words, before you jump to defend yourself or dismiss their feelings, pause. Reflect. Ask yourself, am I really listening right now, or am I just trying to avoid being uncomfortable? Here's a reality check. Do you make room for your partner's emotions? Do you let them feel what they feel? Or do you quickly try to fix it, downplay it, or make it about you? Practical Stoic tip. Trade your defensiveness for curiosity. The next time your partner expresses how they feel, try saying this instead. "Help me understand. I want to know what you're going through." Don't be the storm that adds more chaos. Be the calm they can come home to. Sign 7. You try to control instead of communicate. Let's be honest. Do you find yourself telling your partner who they can talk to? Do you feel uneasy about the clothes they wear? Or question where they're going and who they're with? Maybe you think you're protecting the relationship. But in reality, that's not protection. It's control. And control doesn't come from love. It comes from fear. You might not say it out loud. But deep down, you might be afraid of losing them. Afraid of being cheated on. Or afraid of not being good enough. So instead of talking about those fears, you try to manage every detail of their life. But Stoicism teaches us something very different. It says, you can't control other people. You can only control yourself. Seneca put it perfectly. He who is brave is free. In other words, true strength isn't about keeping someone on a leash. It's about trusting them enough to let them be free. Ask yourself, Do I trust this person, or do I just want to monitor them? Do I allow room for openness and conversation? Or do I act like a security guard in their life? Practical Stoic tip. Real strength means focusing on your own behavior, your own principles, and your own discipline, instead of obsessing over where they are or who they're with. Ask yourself, am I showing up as a partner worth trusting? Because healthy relationships need air. They need room to breathe. When you try to control everything, you choke the life out of it. Trust comes from communication, not control. And peace comes from within, not from trying to manage another person's freedom. Sign 8. You're never willing to grow. This last sign is perhaps the most important. You refuse to grow. Think about this for a moment. Are you the kind of person who always says things like, "That's just who I am," or "They knew what they were getting into when they chose me"? If that sounds like you, here's the truth. You're not trying to be better. You're expecting your partner to adjust to your flaws, while you stay exactly the same. That mindset doesn't build strong relationships. It breaks them. No one expects perfection. But refusing to grow? That's a choice. A dangerous one. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In other words, stop making excuses. Start taking action. Here's something to ask yourself. Am I doing anything to become a better partner, a better communicator, a better person? Do I read, learn, reflect, or do I just keep repeating the same behaviors and hoping things will magically get better? Because growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you're intentional. When you make time to reflect, admit your flaws, and work on them. Practical Stoic tip. Try this simple practice. At the end of each week, take 5 minutes. Ask yourself 2 questions. What did I do this week that showed growth? Where did I fall short, and what can I do better next time? Write your answers down. This small habit can lead to massive personal change. And your relationship will feel the difference. Conclusion. Just because you've made mistakes in your relationship doesn't mean you're stuck in them forever. You're not trapped by your past. You're not beyond hope. You can become the kind of partner that brings peace, not pain. But that transformation, it doesn't start with your partner. It starts with you. It starts with the courage to look inward, to admit when you're wrong, and to take responsibility for your behavior. Stoicism isn't about hiding your emotions or pretending to be perfect. It's about learning to understand your emotions, control your reactions, and live by values that bring stability, not chaos. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, reminded himself daily that true strength comes from mastering yourself, not others. So, take a quiet moment and ask yourself, did any of those signs sound like me? Am I doing things that hurt the person I care about? And most importantly, what can I start doing today to become a better version of myself? Because real love isn't something you stumble into. It's something you build, through patience, humility, and growth. And every strong relationship is built on one essential foundation. A strong, self-aware individual. That foundation is you. If this message touched you in any way, if it made you think, pause, or feel something real, then take a moment to hit that like button. Subscribe for more Stoic wisdom like this. And share this video with someone who might need it. Until next time, keep your mind calm. Keep your heart open. And always, stay true to the best version of yourself.